All right. Good morning, everyone. It's V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live on this edition of the Multipolar Reality with the man of the hour who needs no introduction. It is the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, the brain trust that is here on Rogue News, the one and only Matthew Ehret. He is joining us, and folks, you can find him over at the CanadianPatriot.org, CanadianPatriot.org, RisingTideFoundation.net, as well as his own Substack and Patreon. The links are all in the description box. Make sure you also get his books. It is the framework. It is the magnum opus of understanding the multipolar world and its historical significance by getting Matthew Ehret's book, Symphony of the Two Americas, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. It's all out, folks. Educate yourself. Prepare yourself. Broaden your horizons. Get your notebook and your coffee ready. Matthew Ehret is here.
Hey, V. How you doing?
Up, buddy? Good, man. Hanging in there.
Yeah,
you look very Canadian.
Thank you. I'm in camouflage mode here. I want to try to blend in.
You look very Canadian.
Oh, lumberjacks.
I love it. I love the plaid.
Thank you.
Great. It looks
got
great.
it.
Coffee ready?
Canadian tire.
Yes.
So it's as Canadian as you can get.
It is the uniform of Canada.
It is the official uniform of Canada. Yes.
Oh man, what's new, man? What's happening in your neck of the woods? Trudeau, by the way, I don't know if you know this. You can't blame him. Trudeau said he didn't lock down anybody because of he didn't force any vaccines on anybody. I don't know if you knew that, Matthew.
Yeah, no, he has successfully redeemed himself by promising that he never actually forced any vaccines upon anybody. He just basically ensured that you would be considered a deviant white supremacist neo-fascist who could have your bank accounts frozen at any given moment and have your life ruined by having no job or means of supporting your family if you didn't. But otherwise, he didn't force you to. He just encouraged it. It's a complete rewriting of recent history, and he really doesn't anticipate or expect that people have as much of a memory as a goldfish to go along with this sort of thing. It's really wild. It's a really wild lie. But in the same measure too, Biden also just alleviated the demands that anybody visiting the United States who are not American also be vaccinated. So there is this, I think, a shifting of gears in an attempt to try to just get everyone to forget the trauma and shock therapy that happened to them for the past 3 years, and thus also not anticipate the next wave of attack, which will be brought online if people are not vigilant as all hell.
And hold these people's rear ends, feet, rear end, and their entire body to the fire. Because, I mean, it's like that reggae artist Shaggy from back in the early aughts. He wrote a song called "It Wasn't Me," where he's singing about infidelity, where his significant other was accusing him of promiscuity and this, that, and the other. And Shaggy would be like, "It wasn't me. I'll show you in the corner. It wasn't me." And that's Trudeau. It wasn't me.
That could be.
That's Trudeau's theme song. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
That could be the anthem. That's hilarious.
Have you heard this song? It's quite hilarious. It's it really gets to the heart of these cretins. Here you go.
Yeah. Oh no, you're playing it.
Remember that? I don't want to get a copyright strike, but that's what it is. It wasn't me. I got you caught making vaccine mandates. It wasn't me. You stopped me from traveling on a plane. It wasn't me.
No, I mean it's worthwhile just holding into consideration the level of self-delusion. I mean, you're dealing with a society which has lost touch with reality, which is how we've found ourselves acquiescing to the insane policies that have brought us to voluntarily, in many ways, go along with our own self-annihilation. Now, at the same time, that same tendency of breaking reality away from fiction and imposing a fictional construct of what reality is imagined to be onto the actual reality is also something which infects the minds of the very oligarchy and their auxiliaries that they have needed for many, since time immemorial, to execute their designs. And when I say they, I'm just speaking of any type of hereditary oligarchical power that requires degrees of separation between the inner echelons and their thoughts and ideas and designs and the actual material world. So that, that's how conspiracies have always worked, from ancient Greece and Babylon and Egypt all the way to the present day. You have to have a priesthood cannot just simply corral their victims into ongoing forever wars or depopulation or controlled starvation to manage the excess useless eaters. You can't just do it directly. You can't just tell people you're going to do that, especially when the masses you want to destroy are outnumbering you by a factor of 1,000,000 to 1.
Correct.
You need auxiliaries. You need degrees of separation to carry it out. And these auxiliaries themselves can't necessarily understand fully what the hell that it is that they are tools of. So there's degrees of mythologies crafted for each level, whether you're a Rhodes Scholar, whether you're a Fabian, whether you're a Cambridge Apostle higher up, whether you're part of the guilds of the City of London that have managed the fortunes of a lot of these old families for a very long time. There's different mythologies to shape your identity, crafted for each level of the echelon, all the way down to the point where you get the idiot drug runners or the ISIS fanatics who themselves have their own mythologies and don't seem to question how it is that the CIA or military industrial complex is providing them logistical training, support, financial or otherwise. They don't really ask the question because in their minds they're thinking, well, they're still in control of the game, and if the CIA is providing you assistance, it must be Allah's will. Or the Nazis in Ukraine who are being provided massive amounts of military support and financial support by the military industrial complex of the West and NATO. They probably still think, just like the Ukrainian Nazis of the 1930s and 40s under Bandera, that they are the independent ultimate controllers of the game, and they think that they're using the money bags of London or Wall Street to achieve their religious like objectives, to establish this Valhalla Aryan dominated fascist super state and that involves the destruction of Russia and all of these things. They think that they're actually in control, but they don't realize that they're the ones who are being played, right? And everywhere, right, all the way up through the Freemasonic degrees of the higher orders, all the way up through the whole structure, everyone thinks that they're probably in some way still
calling the shots.
And they're not. Right. They're all instruments for a will that is ultimately willing to flush any of these elements from the bottom to the top along the way, as long as it achieves the ultimate objectives, which are global feudalism. That's at the end of the day the objective. It's not that mysterious. And today you've got Biden, you got Trudeau, these very low level idiot auxiliaries.
Yeah.
Their handlers, I guess you'd probably want to look at, like Jake Sullivan, the Rhodes Scholar assigned to handle Biden since for about 20 years almost.
Mm-hmm.
Or Bruce Reed, another Rhodes Scholar assigned to handle Biden, co-author of Biden's omnibus bill that became the Patriot Act that Biden put out in 1995.
Yeah.
Bruce Reed is another handler. All of these, or Chrystia Freeland, another Rhodes Scholar handling Justin up in Canada. They're themselves all religious like zealots for empire that are kind of stupid, right? And you just hear the way that they speak, the way that you could see the way that they strategize and think through planning.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and
it's really bad.
It's premised on a false idea that doesn't exist. They in their minds, Russia should have already collapsed through the economic sanctions, economic warfare, having been cut off of exports of their Russian gas to Europe. All of these things should have happened. None of it happened. Putin should have been overthrown in a fifth column coup. Xi Jinping should have been already overthrown the way Jack Ma, World Economic Forum idiot, Bill Gates-like clone of China, called for essentially a rebellion of the Chinese elite against Xi Jinping and against the Chinese banking system in 2020. That should have worked according to the assignment put forth by Jack Ma, or upon Jack Ma. That didn't work. Nothing's really working. And now you have Xi Jinping increasingly putting forth a security doctrine, which was first made public a few months ago, that shaped his conversation with Zelensky, to basically force Zelensky despite him being a puppet idiot, even probably dumber than maybe not, maybe on the same level as Justin Trudeau, maybe a little bit more into the cocaine, but to force his hand to come to accept the conditions that you will not have your full, what you believe is your full Ukrainian territory will not be there if you really want to survive. And that will involve accepting 85% or so of your territory, and accepting that 15%, which is Crimea, which is the East Donbass region, is not coming back to you. You could save face maybe, but by simply putting on a show, acting like you were victorious and stopping Russian, the Russian takeover of all of Ukraine, which was never part of the design ever. You could say that, but it increasingly is looking like the more rational among the Western auxiliaries, and here I'm referring to even the London Guardian, recently came out saying that well, this might be the path we have to go, and we're seeing a bit of a shift where there's like a battle from the older faction, which is still trying to double, or the more insane faction, which is still trying to double down on their script, and the slightly more sane faction who are basically saying, okay, well, let's live to fight another day. Let's shift strategies. So you got this on a variety of fronts. Like I said, the London Guardian just came out with this interesting report. CNN also last week started showcasing a pro-Russian angle to the refugee crisis in Russia, actually taking on a sympathetic tone towards Russia, which we've never seen, which indicates in my mind if CNN is taking that line, and also in so doing showcasing that Kiev is the one to blame for a lot of the destruction that has resulted in the refugee crisis. That implies a decision that has been made higher up in the echelons to indicate a shifting of policy. And the London Guardian, like I said just today, published a report from a very bad guy who has been a world government fanatic for quite some time, whose name I'm all of a sudden forgetting, basically saying that we have to imagine a Russian victory in Ukraine. We have to do this. Not that they're declaring that they've lost, or they're not raising the white flag, but they're basically saying, we didn't plan this out correctly.